You know who made it.
And we are live from LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, X, and wait, no, not X. I said the wrong thing. Twitch is what I meant to say. And Instagram, it's Revening's Wednesday. Welcome to Wednesday, Revenue Party people. Where are you all tuning in? You are all slow to come on. I know there's a lot happening in the world, especially with the hurricane. And so we want to send a lot of love to all of our friends in Florida. We actually have one of our friends, Elizabeth McEwen, on our episode tonight who is tuning in from Florida, not one of the spots that's in an evacuation zone. So we'll be hearing from her, and of course also Lauren Brownstone, and we're going to be talking all about sales enablement. But we know that it's hard to focus on sales and marketing when people are in the line of destruction with Hurricane Milton coming straight toward Tampa Bay. So Feeding Tampa Bay is a legitimate organization that you can contribute if you want to donate to help those in need following Hurricane Milton. So Feeding Tampa Bay is a part of Feeding America. And, it's a good time to just start contributing now, because we know in the next 48 hours, there's going to be a lot of people who should have evacuated, who couldn't evacuate, who are going to be in need, and Feeding Tampa Bay is going to be helping them. So without further ado, I want to go ahead and get right into tonight's episode. Thank you everyone for being here. We've got Don in Chicago, Randy Sue tuning in from Florida. Where are those comments? Let's see. We've got Erica. Hey, Erica, I know you're in Columbus. Where's everyone else tuning in from? I'm in Ohio, but we've got Cherry Assistant and High Level sponsoring tonight. And Cherry Assistant is an organization I work with to help place me with virtual assistants who can help me create this episode and do a lot of other work. So you'll see during intermission the menu of services that they can help with, because they do way more than just that. But I get help with marketing, video editing. You can get help with operations, as well as kind of administrative work. So big thanks to Sabrina and Layla, who have made tonight's episode possible. They're both with Cherry Assistant, and big thanks to Cherry Assistant for sponsoring tonight's episode. Along with High Level, we'll be giving out a swag pack from High Level, but High Level is my everything tool. I use it for my CRM. I use it for my marketing tools, and it's legit only $97 a month for all the same features that when I was in B2B SaaS, we would pay thousands of dollars a year for, like these big annual SaaS contracts. No need for that anymore. Just get High Level. And I'm excited to be speaking at their summit coming up here soon. Anyone else going to the High Level Summit? Or is there anyone here in Dallas? Because that's where I'll be. And I actually extended my trip. So Randy, I know we weren't going to cross paths, but maybe we will, because I'll be coming Sunday and leaving Friday. But I digress. Let's make sure that you all are entering to win prizes tonight. So we have some really great prizes to give away. We've got the high level swag pack. We're giving this away every episode. So it's 2 shirts with high level all over it. There's the Sasspreneur shirt. They're pretty cool. And then you also get a water bottle and a hat. So just tag high level to enter to win. We'll give away to one winner after the episode. And of course, the headset from Headset Advisor. So Brandy Baum, she was at our retreat too. So both the guests tonight were at the Women Wave retreat. And Brandy Baum with Headset Advisor was also at the Women Wave retreat, but she's with Headset Advisor, and she speaks really highly of that team there. And that's one of the really awesome things about Headset Advisor is their culture. I feel really great promoting them because of the way they treat their employees. So get a free professional wireless headset by putting #headset in the comments. And let's see, what else are we giving out? So 1 month free of my program, the Taking Up Space program. Just put #personal branding. So lately, it's really been a lot of just Liz and I, because everyone else in the program is either meeting with me one-on-one or the timing hasn't been working out. But it's in a transition moment because I don't know if I've found the right time that works for the most people. So I still want to play with the timing of it. So come join us in this month of transition for the Taking Up Space program. Put #personal branding. We talk about LinkedIn, content strategy. We talk about video editing a lot now with the TikTokification of LinkedIn and the video scroll. We all need to be professional video editors these days. And then prize 4 from our guests. I'm going to let them talk about it here in a moment. But if you put #revenue, you're entering to win the prizes from Liz and Lauren themselves. So you can see those here. It's a little bit small. So even I'm like, well, we've got enabling enablement. I mean, how much more enabling can we get to enable enablement? So enter to win that prize, and then partnering success. But I'm going to bring them in here. Welcome to the show, Lauren and Elizabeth. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I was really excited.
Yes, I'm glad to have you here. And I'm glad that we're talking about sales enablement. And Liz, that there's any moment we could lose you because you're in Florida and the power could go out, meaning the internet could go out. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for using your last little bits of time with possible power of, spending it here with us. And we'll be sure to make this a good conversation and do some good post-production stuff with clips and share that afterwards as well. But you both know the drill. I'm going to put up a 2-minute clock and we want to hear from you. Your full story, what we can't find on LinkedIn. Where were you born? What was your childhood like? And what brought you to now? And we'll just go in alphabetical order. So I guess that's Elizabeth by first name. If we do alpha by first name, not by last name. We'll put Elizabeth up here. Could you please fill in the 2 minutes and tell us a little bit about you?
You've got it. All right. So born in sunny South Florida, although sometimes stormy South Florida, and actually attended college here as well. Spent the first part of my career in education and social work, particularly 12 years as a school librarian, also part-time as a college librarian, was the president of the state organization for school librarians. So I thought that was my whole future. And then 3 years ago, I made a huge change. I had a very good friend who said, let's do this thing. Let's make a change. I've got this perfect role for you. And I ended up at Citrix in partner enablement. And it was the best change I ever made. I am so grateful for my former students and for all the time I had in that community. But I am loving what I'm doing now. Right after I started, we were bought out by private equity. And so it has been a wild ride over the last 3 years. I've been on 3 teams, 4 directors, 3 VPs, 3 different roles. But one of the things that has been a constant for me is my channel community, women of the channel focus. Now this amazing group of people that I've gotten to meet through Jessie has been a wonderful, wonderful community to grow with. And I'm just excited to see what's going to happen next. So one thing about constant change is you learn at a crazy rate of speed. So I feel like these 3 years have been more like 10 years, but I'm really proud of what I've accomplished so far and excited to see what adventures are coming next.
That's incredible. Well, thank you so much for sharing, Liz. And you did it in under 2 minutes. And like you did it so well and well spoken. I mean, I think I can't remember who said this, maybe it was Randy in the program, but like when you talk, you can just tell that you're so intelligent. And that's one of the things that I just love about you. And speaking of intelligent, we need to hear from our other very intelligent guest, Lauren, who I love your LinkedIn posts. I love how you really just took the Taking Up Space program and you went with it and you let it push you on video. Everyone go follow both of these guests already. But Lauren, you're taking it to another level. But before you got to where you are, where were you? So could you tell us, where were you born and what brought you to now in 2 minutes?
And thank you for your very kind words about my posts. Your program was amazing and helped me with that, but we'll get to that. All right. I was born at Evanston Hospital in Evanston, Illinois, and I grew up in the northwest suburbs of Chicago, spending much of that time in Chicago. And I went to college at University of Illinois, where I studied political science, wanting to go into neither politics nor law, and then found myself in teaching, just like Liz. And so I taught for about 5 years, and then I left for all the reasons that teachers are kind of leaving today, unfortunately, and found myself in the corporate world and just thought I'd try my hand at that. And I was really adamant that I never wanted to teach adults. I didn't think that was interesting. I like to build community and culture in the classroom, and really help kids help nurture kids to become their best selves and ask really important questions of the world around them. And then I joined the corporate world and never thought I would do any of those things and didn't think adults were that interesting, to be honest. I didn't really want to train them. And then I saw what it looked like in the corporate world, and I saw what was needed, and I saw the cultural issues, and jumped right into learning and development. And I've just been running ever since. Enablement is my jam. And I've just been having so much fun. And for the last year, I've been consulting, and now I can help companies do whatever. I have 23 seconds left, but I'm feeling pretty good about that intro.
Well, both of you are really great at sales, apparently, because you have your pitch down. So let's get right into it. And this is a sales enablement conversation. And before we really pull up and talk about the topics in sales enablement, I'm going to pull myself out. And I want to ask you both to tell us all, and I know you had to do this at the retreat too, because some people in marketing were like, what the heck is enablement? So I'm going to leave you with that and ask you both to answer.
I'm going to let Lauren start with that one since he literally wrote the book. So
thank you, Liz. There's two ways to look at enablement. Very often when we talk about enablement, we're talking about sales, marketing, revenue enablement. But if you look at the broader business, there's enablement happening in HR that is also learning and development focused. They're seeking behavior change. They're trying to move with the changes of the business, be skills based. And then we're also seeing all these other enablement teams that aren't necessarily called enablement, but they're doing the same thing on the operational side of the business outside of HR. And so enablement is really, to me, it's the bridge between the current and the future state. Here's where we are. Here's where we want to be. What are all the skills and changes and everything that needs to happen along the way to get to our end goal? That's kind of how I look at enablement.
Absolutely. And I think, one thing people don't talk about enough is that it's not just about training, and it's not just about awareness, but it's about behavior change. And that's something that Lauren's a huge expert on. But if you really want to see an impact in the business, it's going to be changing behavior. So that, enablement is so much more than here's your course, here's your one pager. We need to get away from that mindset, because also, who's super excited to take a course? Like, maybe they are, but for the most part, what they're excited about is being successful. So we need to show them that enablement is about connecting them to success.
Yeah. And Liz, you're actually a guru of channel enablement. Can you also tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so channel is just basically indirect sales. I do both sales enablement and channel enablement at Citrix, but over 72% of tech transactions are indirect. There are some large vendors whose entire business is indirect, is through the channel. And there are different types of partners, and it can get very nuanced. But the point is that a partner may need different enablement than your sellers. It may be similar, it may be the same if it's technical, but it may be different. So it's just realizing that you're talking to different audiences and refining your content, refining what behaviors you want to see changed based on those audiences.
That's so good. Thank you both for sharing that. I love the way you describe and talk about enablement. It's so beautiful. So let's get into enablement. And before we do, I'm going to pull up the QR code for Feeding Tampa Bay again really quick and just reiterate and allow both of you to share your 2 cents too on the importance of giving right now to Feeding Tampa Bay. Again, it's a legitimate organization that you can donate to. I'm not taking any cut of this. It's just literally a QR code going to their website so you can contribute directly to them. So your money is going as close to those in need as possible. But man, it's just such a horrible time right now. And I know you're there in Florida, Liz, and you've lived through a number of hurricanes.
I have. We actually lost a home in a flood when I was a teenager. And I also come from a background where we did not have a lot of money. So having a dependable car to evacuate or being able to go stay in a hotel, those weren't always things we could do. So I recognize how important places like this organization are, and they really make a difference in people's lives. Tonight, and we're not even getting the brunt of it, friends of mine down the road were hunkering down with other friends, and the home was hit by a tornado. That was literally about an hour and a half, 2 hours ago, actually, maybe a little more. So I'm telling you, there's real people out there that are going to be in need of real tangible help. So if you listen to nothing tonight, maybe listen to this part. Just share whatever you can, $5, $10. I don't care.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Scan that code, give directly to Feeding Tampa Bay. Again, we're not taking any cut of this. Anything you'd like to add, Lauren, before we get into the topics?
Feed Tampa Bay. Please, please, please donate. They need it.
Absolutely. All right. So let's get into it. So sales enablement. So you just heard the most eloquent and beautiful description of sales enablement that you're ever going to get. And I know Brittany, you mentioned that in the comments too. You agree. But Liz, could you kick us off now on enablement, marketing, and sales? Because we typically talk about marketing and sales on this show, but enablement is a part of that. And could you talk to us how it all fits together in this symbiotic relationship?
So it's something I'm still learning about. I'm really excited. We actually have a new, extremely smart SVP of marketing. And the way that the company has organized things, she is actually over enablement as well. So we have our sales VP at the top of the triangle, and then we've got enablement and marketing at the 2 corners. And what I love about that is the idea that we can have a shared plan. We can collaborate on content. We can make sure we're looking at the same sales playbooks and training. We can use marketing insights to influence our enablement and the type of triggers that we provide to our sellers. The feedback loops are so important. You want to really know what's going on? Your account-based marketers, they can find out for you. We can sync our technology and make sure that we are being consistent with our platforms and our messaging. And we can track metrics. Like that's the most important one, right? To make sure we have some aligned metrics and see how those sales metrics and those marketing metrics and those enablement metrics all work together to paint a picture, to tell a story. And I just think that's a really, really important part of us working synonymously as marketers and enablers with our sellers.
Such a great point. And I see you nodding, Lauren. So tell us, what stood out to you with what she said and what might you add on this topic?
Yeah, I love how Liz is emphasizing the alignment, because if everyone isn't marching to the same beat, if we're not all walking together, we're not going to get to that future state that we're looking for. When I think about what makes it such a strong symbiotic relationship, I love that we call it that, and really like what strategies work. It is alignment, and it's alignment from the very top of the business and making sure that everyone is on the same page. They have the same goals, they have the same priorities, and we're marching to the same drum or marching the same beat, right? We're always moving together. Marketing and sales, like we're not always going to be in exactly the same place, but I think enablement kind of is the glue that holds everyone together and says, no, this is where we're at, this is where we're working towards.
Yeah, and I think there's always, for me, I came, over the last 3 years, I came up learning all of this enablement vocabulary and jargon. And now that I'm having to work even more with marketers, they have their own vocabulary as well. So I think it may sound silly, but you might have to level set if you are working closely with a team and figure out, what does this mean to you? And really just start there. It may sound simple, but if we're not all speaking the same language, it's going to be hard for us to accomplish an overall goal. I think the other thing that I think is super important is when you're the application of it, right? Like it's one thing to talk about us all being together and doing the same thing, but how does that actually play out? So for example, if you're collaborating on content, your marketing team, they might provide case studies. Well, sales enablement, they can use those case studies and make them part of applicable courses or scenario-based learning, right? And then we can share that feedback. So it's really important that we don't just give lip service to working together, but we actually find ways to make sure we're integrated.
Yeah, and I think Mark Mack agrees with you from the comments. He's saying like, stop the acronyms. Yes, hashtag stop the acronyms and jargon vocab barrier to entry for some tech. It's so annoying. It's almost like an ego thing sometimes. Like, why do you need to like throw those words around, right?
It's gatekeeping. It's really what it is. It's so some people in the room feel smarter than other people in the room. And as somebody who's only been in this industry for 3 years, I was just as smart 3 years ago as I am today, but I didn't know what any of these crazy acronyms meant.
Yeah.
Somebody had to teach me.
And also Randy's mentioning, stop the insanity with jargon. Make sure y'all are on the same page. Healthcare is so bad for this. Oh, I bet healthcare is so bad for this.
And Liz has done all these, like, what was it, acronym Monday, acronym Wednesday? I forget,
That's
but you had a weekly post that was like, here's an acronym, so you're not going crazy. So helpful. Thank you.
Because I was embarrassed to ask. And then I just finally got over myself, and I had this amazing director at the time, and I would text her in the middle of meetings and be like, what does this mean? What does this mean? And she didn't fire me, so we're all good.
Yeah. I mean, we have to ask questions. I know how that is, though. I used to be scared to ask questions. Who in the comments here has ever, like, come on, just admit it. You've been scared at some point in your life, in your job, to ask your boss. And, like, we really just need to get over it, right? And as that person who became the boss at some point, it's like, why didn't you just ask? I wish people would just ask. But, like, in the Glass Ceiling Shatterer framework, which you both know because you were in the program, one of them is ask specifically for what you want. because if you don't ask specifically for what you want, you're not going to get it. And that's one of the ways I think I climbed as fast as I did, from entry level basically to C-suite in 5 years. If I wouldn't have asked for the roles I wanted, I wouldn't have gotten them. They never would have known. And when I became a manager, I realized the women weren't asking and the men were. I always knew exactly the roles the men wanted and what their goals were, but the women just kept on grinding. So, ladies, speak up. And on that, let's transition into our next topic, enablers of success. Lauren, the right content at the right time in the right place. Could you talk to us about this?
Yeah. So enablement is a lot of things. Liz and I are emphasizing behavior change, but it is also the tools, the processes, all the other things along the way. And, what we were saying earlier, enablement is kind of the glue that holds all that together. And a big part of that is making sure that you have the data from marketing, you have the data from sales, you're kind of interpreting everything as you go and figuring out what are the triggers that get us from point A to point B? How do we know it's time to do something? And so we help sellers in particular, when you are at this point, when you are filling this out, this is going to pop up. That's when you need this tool. That's when you need this job aid. And really just making sure that they have the right tools at the right time. And we're not just saying, hey, we have a great content library with 4,000 things in it. Go fish when you have a question. We want to make it as simple and easy for everyone to be successful.
And a big part of that is the platforms you choose to employ to do the job. In the platform world, it's a huge business, huge. Matter of fact, the platform business is going to go from this is just the sales enablement platform market. It went from 1.9 billion in 2020. It is projected to be 7.3 billion by 2028. So
wait, can you say that again?
So 1.9 billion in 2020, and it's expected to be 7.3 billion by 2028. So all of these big revenue platforms that are reaching out to your companies that you see, and there's a lot of good ones. There's HighSpot, there's Seismic, there's Showpad, there's Mindtill. There's so many things out there. Just remember, and I'm a big believer in this, you get what you pay for. And I don't just mean the platform itself, but I mean the back end. So how it is for your employees who are managing it, how it is for your users, whether that's sellers, partners, or customers. And then you have to think about all that data behind the scenes. How does your CRM work with your sales platform? And do you have both content and courses in that platform, or do you have a separate LMS and CMS? All of these things are things that need to be figured out, and they need to have a strategy. It can't just be about throwing the most affordable tool in there and saying, make it work, people. Yeah, they'll make it work, but it's going to affect your sales. It's going to affect the user experience. So I think it's just very important that we get very real about platforms and about AI and platforms, because just because they say it's AI powered doesn't mean that's the case. Not all AI powered platforms are created equally.
That's a good point. Absolutely. What would you add to that, Lauren?
I think that was spot on.
Yeah.
I don't know how much I have to add to that. I think that's it.
I know.
I think a good example of this is, so you're in your CRM, maybe it's Salesforce, and you're a seller, and you're at a certain point in the sales cycle, and you get a trigger that says, hey, it looks like you are about to ABC. Would you like to view this micro-learning, this one-pager? It's so exciting to think that a seller isn't going to have to open up a separate tab, do a search, try to figure things out. And then when you think of the back end with the data, to be able to take those insights from your CRM to show your sellers performance, to show that rate of behavior change, you can do so much. But you've got to have a foundation of strong platforms that are integrated correctly, whose metadata is right, and then you can do so much.
I think you're
Metadata.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. And I actually want to emphasize your point about making it easy and making it accessible and choosing platforms that can talk to each other, or they can do it all. And when we think about it from the user experience, like you were saying, Liz, it affects more than their ability to just do something quickly or easily. We've all had jobs where things are like unbelievably cumbersome, and there really doesn't feel like there's a good reason for that, right? Whether it's the whole job or just, one specific task we have. When things are harder than they need to be, we check out. We don't just get less productive. We check out. We get less engaged. And it really has an impact on culture. So yeah, some of it is you get what you pay for, and some of it is doing like a really good needs assessment and figuring out which platform or platforms are right for your company. And if we don't do that, the fact is it's harder to enable our people in two ways. One, in the immediate, they can't necessarily find what they need. And then over time, over long term, what happens is we have cultural issues because people just feel like it's too hard to do what we're asking them to do.
Absolutely. And if you are somewhere where your CRM is not integrated with your sales enablement technology, you are in the minority, because 64% of sales organizations have integrated their CRM with their sales enablement technology. So you don't want to be left behind, right? We talk about this with AI all the time, not being left behind. Same thing here. This is the key to just-in-time enablement, and this is the key to powerful data that shows how enablement impacts the business.
Man, it's such a good point. And I don't think most businesses are really considering this. And I mean, I come out of the startup world, so a lot of the time we didn't have sales enablement people. But I'm sure even at larger companies, they're not thinking about this stuff. I mean, this seems all very cutting edge. What would you both suggest to companies who are getting started with this and trying to figure out how do they, give the right content at the right time in the right place? Any suggestions for those companies getting started out?
I think one of the biggest things, and Liz and I have talked about this several times, one of the biggest things that we see is we put a lot of former sales and marketing folks in these roles, and then we don't identify the skill gap. We all make lateral moves. It's important to make lateral moves in our career, but we always have a skill gap when we start a new role, especially when it's a lateral move. And so if we don't identify that skill gap, then we never really fill it. And so one of the gaps that we see is everyone says, oh, I just need to create a bunch of training. I need to create a bunch of content, but not everything is created equally. And I'm going to throw our tools into that too, because it matters what we're buying. And so if you hire the right people, if you get the right team involved, and it's a good, thoughtful buying process, then you're setting yourself up for more success.
Absolutely. Great point. Were you going to add something, Liz?
Oh, there's so many things. This is how you know you're passionate about something, when you're like,
yeah,
9:35? How?
I know.
But I do want to say, I know not every company is necessarily completely clear on their AI strategy. I totally understand that, but you can be preparing for it, by things that are as simple as, are you tagging your content and your courses in the same manner? If they live in two different platforms, that in itself creates complexity. But if you're also not tagging them the same, that's going to make it even harder when you try to pull insights. And then down the road, when it's time for AI to be able to pull that content or to create an LLM, right? So Even if nobody's handing you $1 billion and saying, go build the AI strategy of your dreams, start doing things on the back end to line things up, because it's only going to take more and more and more time if you're not ready. Eventually, somebody's going to come to your team and say, let's go, let's do this thing. So be as ready as you can.
Yeah. Oh man, we could get into this so much more, but you're right. It's already 9:37. I don't know how we got here, but we will be right back right after these messages. Stay tuned for more. I want to show you how to do a voicemail drop. And voicemail drops can be really creative ways to reach your audience. And, many of us are spending a lot of time on the phone making calls, but hey, I'm here over in marketing to report that you can do a mass voicemail drop. And let me show you how. Let me log into my account here, Reviting. The hard part about any campaign is knowing your audience and knowing what you're going to say to them. Yeah, definitely check out Lead Magic if you haven't already. So what I love about Lead Magic is their lead scraper. You can see that right here. Also, another thing are the technographics. Then import that into High Level. So High Level for me, it's white labeled. It's app.reviting.com. So when you go in here, you're going to want to, you can get your contacts in here however you want, with the ones that you want to do the voicemail drop with. Once you know who you're sending your voicemail drop to, create a new workflow from scratch. And you can add in your trigger, which would be the tag that you add. For me, and for this example, I'll go ahead and say tag added, and it will be anyone who downloads my free LinkedIn 5-day challenge workbook that's on my LinkedIn page. And if you get that, we'll go ahead and wait just for a minute, save action, and then we're going to do voicemail. All right, so now I need to get a voicemail and I need an audio file. And luckily I have this just like free online tool. You can go to 123 apps or online-voice-recorder.com. You can see it on the screen. And I am just going to record a voicemail. Hey, it's Jessie Lezak. Wanted to follow up with you about the 5-day challenge workbook and course that you downloaded and see what you thought of it, if you've had a chance to complete it, and how I can support you on your journey to LinkedIn growth. Give me a call back anytime. My cell phone number is 510-335-9355. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. We'll move this in a little bit. Move that in just a tad. Save. Open so I can't see. So here is my recording. There it is. It's loading. Hey, it's Jessie Lezak. Wanted to follow up with you about the 5-day challenge workbook and course that you did. And that's how people will get into the voicemail drop. And I think you should try a voicemail drop too. And if you would like some support on that, I would love to help you. Just give me a call. You already heard my number in the recording, 510-335-9355, or you can email me at Jessie, just my first name, JESSIE @reviting.com. That's REVETING.com. Hope to help you with your voicemail drop here soon.
Check these emails. Wait, I need to write the script. Oh my god, I forgot to schedule all my content last week.
I know the chaos of running a one-person business can feel too much sometimes. Carry Assistant has become my secret weapon to success. Having an actual niche assistant has been so game-changing. But since bringing on one of their virtual assistants, they have been handling all my nitty-gritty tasks, from DMing people on my socials to following up with leads, even doing the cold outreach for me. Plus, they help with all the tedious admin tasks like managing emails, scheduling appointments, reminding me of appointments. Just imagine the time that you're going to have when you have an actual niche virtual assistant helping you with all these things. So with your assistant, you're never going to have to worry about the little things again. You get on a call with them. That way they can actually gauge your business needs and they're going to help you fill the gaps. You go to cherrysystem.com, you can get on a call with one of them and they're going to help you find your person. Now you can actually finally free up some time to focus on building your empire.
And we are back. Thank you all for sticking through that with us. And honestly, would love to help you with High Level. I'm giving away 3 months free of the Taking Up Space program if you sign up for High Level using the affiliate link. This way I can help you just get it all set up. But anyway, let's get into topic 3 because this enablement stuff is good. Enablement data. Insights drive success stories. Well, and you were talking about AI, so I can't help but say, like, garbage in, garbage out. Like, better make sure your data is good if you're using AI. But let's talk about enablement data. Like, what are some of those enablement data pieces? Liz, could you kick us off?
Well, that's going to depend. You need to be in alignment with the business. So the things that are important to your SVP of sales and your CEO need to be what's important to your enablement team, and need to be important, the same thing that's important to your marketing team. It's when you have those aligned metrics that everybody is trying to reach that you can work backwards and figure out where you're going to pull that data from. At the end of the day, what everybody needs to understand is we are going to be held accountable for our enablement programs, whether we like it or not. People want to see numbers, right? Data is king. How many times have I heard people say, show me the numbers? So here are some numbers. Companies with an effective sales enablement program report 27.6 higher win rates and 18.8% higher revenue growth compared to others. So how are you going to show that if you're on an enablement team? How are you going to show the higher revenue growth? How are you going to show the higher win rates? You have to put it all together. That goes back to integrating your, with your CRM and taking a look at how your sellers are performing. What is the actual, are they really accomplishing what you want them to accomplish, that behavior change, that action? Those are the things that you have to work on and be in alignment on before you can ever figure out what data to bring to the bosses.
What data to bring to the bosses? Because sometimes you don't want to bring all the data to the bosses, right? We just want to bring some data to the bosses. But no, that's all really good stuff. So enablement data, and I loved that you just got right into the numbers and you started sharing them. So what would you share on numbers? What numbers have you seen that stick out in terms of enablement data, Lauren?
So what I see with data, there's 2 camps, right? Everyone wants to see more data specifically from enablement. Great, we need it, right? The challenges, and this is where there's another camp, is more data always better, or is specific data better? Because some people will say, as long as you can pull all the reports possible and show something, that's significant. I'm more of the belief that we need that alignment, kind of like Liz was saying. We need the alignment. We do agree on our goals, and we need to agree on our measurements for how we're going to get there. And then what are our leading indicators? What are our lagging indicators? What else are we looking at? And when we all agree on the data that we're looking at, then we're telling a consistent story where nobody's really going to disagree about what's happening. We might have different opinions about why something's happening. So the data is super important, but it's important that we're using it wisely and not just pleased to have numbers.
Yeah, because what I see a lot is kind of a skewed idea of enablement data. So for example, if you're just looking at consumption data and then you're trying to connect that to how well a group of people is doing, that's not really causation, right? That's correlation. Those are 2 variables that are moving together, but they may or may not have had something to do with each other. There are a million other reasons why that group of people may have been successful besides the fact that they consumed 55 hours of your training. I'm sorry, it's true. So instead, we have to take a look at win rate. We have to take a look at all of these other things that actually represent success metrics and figure out where the causation is. Lauren had some really great points between the difference between correlation and causation in her book. Would you share a little bit of that?
Yeah, so The example that I give in the book, it's this really common example. What's the difference between correlation and causation? Is ice cream sales go up every summer. Also every summer, you know what goes up? Violence. But does ice cream cause violence? Are we like on a sugar high becoming violent?
It does if you
I don't
steal
think
my ice cream.
I don't know what ice cream everyone eats, but I don't think that's why, right? So we see them both increasing because of the weather, right? That's the common variable. It's the weather and the heat that makes us all a little bit crazy and makes us all crave ice cream. That they're correlated, ice cream and violence, but one is not causing the other. It's the weather that's causing it. Correlation and causation are massively different. And one of the challenges that we see specifically in enablement, because we're always trying to attribute success to our work. And it's not always a simple story. And that's something that we like to champion the data for. That's really important. So sometimes what we see is enablement will say, hey, we gave a training and 2 months later, the numbers were what we wanted them to be. So that's the effect of our training. But then if you ask a sales leader, they'll say, yeah, no one could do anything after the training. I took the job aids myself and gave them to the team because they weren't using them. And then I trained them all myself and trained and retrained and coached them for 2 months until they could do it. That's why the data's there. So everybody's telling a different story. But when we can point to the job aid and make sure people are clicking on it because we have reports and it tells us who's using it and who's not and how often, then we can attribute things. And when we're using things like performance consulting, which says, this is where we want to go, here's where we started, and we iteratively get there. We know we're not going to give a training and then suddenly we're going to be at our end goal, right? It takes time to get there. And that is performance consulting. And performance consulting always makes sure that we're not just looking at correlation, we are truly looking at causation, because they'll say week after week, month after month, what's the little thing that needs to move right now to get that number better so that we can eventually meet that goal.
Man, such a good conversation. I love talking about correlation versus causation. And now you both have me thinking about, like, I'm getting ready to launch the new course again. And what I didn't do well last time, I feel like, is based on consumption, communicate with the audience. But maybe I shouldn't make assumptions that based on the consumption of my free lead magnet course, if they watch 3 hours worth of my program, which would be all it would be is 3 total hours of video. And then there'd be like work, you guys know the workbook, and I'm adding some stuff to it, changing it around. But it's that for free. And based on consumption, I was thinking I would be emailing them thinking they would be wanting to sign up for the Taking Up Space program based on the consumption of that. So as an example, maybe I shouldn't make that assumption that just because they took that free course that they want to sign up for the Taking Up Space program. Would this be an example of what you're talking about?
Maybe. What are all the data points you're looking at?
I mean, I think one really easy way to summarize it is correlation is more about trends, whereas causation shows impact. So that's a really easy way to just kind of put it in a column, right? Are we talking about a trend, or are we talking about real impact? And I think the other thing is, what are you doing to create skill attainment that leads to impact? Because if all you're doing is producing a 1-pager or a very long training that they could pretend to watch but actually have on mute, then are you actually measuring to see if they have a skill gap? Are you teaching them a new skill? Are you assessing to see if they have attained the new skill? So that's a whole other piece of enablement, that we should be measuring skill gaps. We should be providing personalized learning plans that meet people where they are. All of that stuff can also help you show causation, show the impact, because now you're talking about, hey, I started here, I learned this, now I'm here. Oh, causation.
Yeah. Such a great way to put it. Oh man, we could get into this and talk so much more on this topic, but I know we still have one more topic and we have to do Guru of the Week and give away prizes. So let's get into enablement as a centralized and strategic consultative function. So Lauren, could you kick us off on this?
Yeah. So enablement is the glue. It's the alignment. These are kind of the themes that Liz and I keep talking about tonight. And I think it's funny because we see this so similarly. Often what happens is the business will say, we have a new initiative, we have a new project, something like that. So go create a training. But very, very, very often, 90% of the work we do does not involve training at all. It's not part of the solution. And when you do need training, you still need other solutions too. And so if we just do what the business asks for, we're not really giving them what we need, what they need, right? They need us to be consultative and really think about the bigger picture and how people learn and how we achieve behavior change, how we measure learning. Because if we don't get learning, we'll never get behavior change. And so it should be a strategic function. It should be a consultative function. And in my book, I actually also argue that it should be the central glue consultative function for the entire organization, because everything is about managing change. Everything is about change is happening faster than ever. So we have more skill gaps, right? We need more skills. We need to upskill and reskill more and faster than ever before. And so how do we do that? I think we need a specific team in the business that reports specifically to the C-suite that does that. But I'm going to hold off on that for a second because Liz, I know you have a lot of opinions on this and I'm so excited to hear what you have to say.
No, I actually love that you started this off. I think this is one of the best parts of your book is discussing enablement as that centralized and strategic consultative function. And I can't remember exactly the terminology used in the book, but basically what we need to understand is as enablement professionals, we are the SMEs. We are the learning experts. We are not order takers. We are not cosmic bellhops. We should not be just, you want that? Oh, okay. Let me get that out. Right. No. We need to stop and evaluate. Why do you want that? How large is the audience? How long is this resource going to be able to be used? If it's going to take a team of 4 people 2 months to produce it, and it's only going to be needed for another 2 months, that's not a good use of resources, right? So we really have to be comfortable with the fact that we are experts and we work with the other experts. Their expertise may be in the product. Their expertise may be in marketing. Their expertise, whatever. But we are the learning experts. And you have to have leaders that will recognize that, enable that, trust that, and bring you in early. Because if you're always, we are rolling this out in 4 days. Could you take care of the enablement? No. But very often, and for some enablement programs, this is their reality. They are completely reactive instead of proactive. And it's usually not their fault. It's usually because they are not brought in early enough to have that type of impact on the business the way they would if they were having that consultative function that Lauren talks about.
Absolutely. Man, it's so well said. Anything that you would like to wrap up on this topic, Lauren?
I think you're spot on, Liz, and saying that I'm like taking notes on what you're saying because I think it's brilliant. Yes, it needs to be proactive. We need to be brought in early. And I also think that enablement should be leading a lot of what happens. We should be comfortable telling leadership, as I have more than once, we have an oversaturation of change right now. We have too many initiatives. We are too far from our end goals for too many things. Something needs to pull back. You're not introducing something new next week because more people will leave. and performance will suffer. It's those tough conversations. And when we have that team at the center of the business who can do it and really speak truth to power and stand up for the people in the culture, because those are the folks who see everything, right? We see it, we hear it from everyone. And we know how much culture can impede behavior change. So in my book, like Liz was saying, I argue for this heart team. It's the humanely earned accrued results team, because we get results over time. And the more we build culture and fill the enablement base for the company, the more we can achieve. And so I think that the future is truly a centralized enablement function for the whole company that largely does performance consulting.
Mm. That's awesome. I'm glad that at least some are doing it. And, you know, speaking of both of you being so brilliant on sales enablement, Elizabeth, I know you were nominated for the Channel Focus Women's Leadership Council Rising Star Award. I'm going to put it up here. And it's also in the comments on all the different channels. So if you'd be willing to vote and you're listening and you're hearing that obviously Liz is incredible on this topic, then go vote for her and give her some love. And I voted for her. Brittany in the chat voted for you. And I really just hope and wish you the best of luck on that, because you should win. Absolutely.
Thank you. And that is really about is community. So Channel Focus is one of those communities that I found 3 years ago, thanks to the VP that I had when I first got to Citrix. She plugged us in with great organizations, and Channel Focus was one of them. And they've taught me so much. So to be on that nomination list with women that I have looked up to, that I immediately would follow on LinkedIn the second after I met them, whose webinars I've sat in on, it's very, very special. So whether I win or not, I mean, I'd love to win, but it's very, very exciting to be part of a group like that. I'm honored.
I'm just sitting here talking and typing on LinkedIn, so I can't see what's happening in here, but I'm just super proud of you. That's really awesome. And it's really incredible. And of course they chose you. I'm not surprised one bit. I think we're going to be seeing you landing more and more things like this here in the future, both of you really. But we got to give away prizes, and we've got to do the Guru of the Week. Ooh, ooh. I'm losing my voice. This is the second episode today. So I'm going to do the drum roll. You both know the drill. I'm going to pull myself out, put both of you out there. And could you tell the audience about your Gurus of the Week and why people should go follow?
Okay, you want to go first?
I can go first. All right.
Okay.
So Phil Putnam is enablement. He does leadership development. When we talk about how we need to change culturally, Phil understands it. He is talking about how we lead people from way high up in the company to specifically just how you manage those individuals on your team, what really motivates them, how you bring out the best in them. Highly suggest following Phil.
Phil's phenomenal. I actually love him as well. So I'm really glad that he's your Guru of the Week. My Guru of the Week, and I'm going to give you a little bit of a 2-for-1. It's Jay McBain. He is an analyst at Canalys. I would tell you that Jay has forgotten more than I will ever know, but I don't think he forgets anything because he's that intelligent. But even more than that, Jay is the type of person who pours into people. He will work with you on projects. He will give you guidance. He's just an amazing human. And so is Michelle McBain. So please follow both of them. Michelle happens to be his wife, but she's also the channel chief at SonicWall. So they are both amazing. They've both been huge blessings to me. And I suggest that you follow them both, especially if you want to get some insights and some numbers. Make sure you follow Jay. He's all about the research.
I love that. That's so incredible. I'm sitting here like tagging them in the comments as both of you were talking. And I'll get Jay tagged here in just a moment, but go follow them. I mean, if Lauren and Liz are suggesting them, you hear how incredible they are on this topic, then I'm kind of curious about them. And I know I've heard about Jay a lot. And I'm going to go check out Phil and learn a little more about him. Excited about that. But let's give away some prizes. And before we do, I'm going to pull up your guys' prize here. Prizes. All right, there it is. Boom. So Liz, could you tell folks a little bit about your prize?
Yes. So one of the most amazing people in the channel, but in my tribe that I have been lucky to build over the last 3 years is Teresa Carrigal. And she's the founder, CEO of Achieve Unite, an amazing company who can work with your partner teams and provide them just wonderful, wonderful guidance so that they can partner better. And she has recently released a book. So in true former librarian style, of course, I have to give it away. So for one person, whoever wins, I will be happy to send you the actual paperback or hardbound book. But I also have some ebooks to give away. So probably the first 6 or 7 people that message me, I'll be able to send you a free copy, a free ebook copy, so that you can enjoy Teresa's book. And she's absolutely amazing. She's not probably old enough to be my mom, but I call her my channel mama because she's just that amazing.
Your channel mama. I love that. And thank you for sharing that. So everyone should go send Liz a DM and get a free ebook. And the replay will continue to play. So you might be getting DMs even later. But
when I'm out.
Lauren, how about you? Could you tell us a little bit about your prize? If people are putting in #revenue, you're getting both of their prizes. So thank you, Liz, for sharing yours. Now let's hear about yours, Lauren.
Yeah, so I'm holding it. It's also on the screen, but it's called Enabling Enablement, executing a strategic learning and readiness function to launch your organization to new heights. And the reason I wrote this book is because of that skill gap that I described earlier. A lot of folks come into enablement because they want to help their colleagues. They believe in learning. They see the importance of behavior change, but there's that skill gap that's not always acknowledged. And so in the first half of the book, I really go through and explain and give a lot of examples of kind of build your skills up. And then in the second half of the book, we talk about how to do strategic enablement at the organizational level. And I kind of talk about that heart team that I was talking about earlier. So if this interests you, I've also gotten feedback from people managers who said that they manage their teams much better now, and they wish that they had this when they first became a people manager. So if this interests you, please put revenue in the comments. I would love to send you a copy.
I love this book, by the way. So you can see I've got a ton of books behind me, but Lauren's book stays on my desk so I can grab it.
Thank you, Liz. And I need partnering success.
I gotcha.
Awesome. Well, we're going to give these prizes away. You literally have a few seconds to put in #revenue to enter to win those prizes. It looks like there's one #revenue that's registering, but I feel like I've seen a few others in the comments throughout the episode. And we've got 3 on high level, 1 on headset. Although I feel again like I saw a few more. So make sure that your privacy settings are set up so that third parties can grab your data. So we'll check that out. But yeah, we've got, remember, the high level swag pack for high level, the headset for headset advisor, put #headset, #personal branding, 1 month free of my program, which both of you were in. Thank you, both of you, for joining. And I'm glad that you could be in it. If you wouldn't mind, would either of you care to share a little bit about your experience in the program?
Liz, you want to go first?
It's just been a wonderful experience. So for me, one of my goals is to grow in my marketing knowledge, and you have a ton of marketing knowledge, Jessie. So that has been a huge benefit for me. But more than any of that, it's been just a great opportunity to spend some time with a group of authentic people to share our wins, to share our challenges, and to also take a minute, right? Like breathe, take a break. Those things seem so simple, but sometimes people who are high achievers, especially, we don't do enough of that. And I think taking up space, although it has amazing content, it also reminds you that you're still a human and you need to take care of you and you need to prioritize your loved ones and your health and, you know, your well-being. And I think that's been really, really good for me.
Oh, thank you so much, Liz. I really appreciate that.
It's funny that you say that, Liz, because when I think about the program, it's such a beautiful part of my day. It's professional, it's grounding, it's challenging, it's educational. We get all this marketing genius from Jesse, but there's also just this like very human focus of like, I mean, it's called taking up space for a reason, right? It's really celebrating your authentic self and learning to communicate effectively on whatever platform makes sense to you. The program has made me like, I feel like I'm a better person because of it. I feel like I'm a better professional because of it. Highly, highly recommend.
Oh man, you both are awesome. And you both were at the retreat this summer too. And that was so fun getting to meet both of you in person. And I don't know, where do you both think the next retreat should be?
Far away from Florida.
Chicago.
Chicago would be awesome. Yeah, I'm a fan of Chicago, not against it. But feeding Tampa Bay, if you haven't already, please be sure to go contribute. And, you know, it's hard to talk about sales and marketing. I already said this earlier when there's just all of that going on, which speaking of, Liz, I know you are dealing with winds that are going to be coming in here probably around what, like 2 a.m.?
Yeah, they might start a little bit before that for us, but we are very fortunate in our area. We will probably, knock on wood, get tropical storm force winds, which can still be pretty high. But the shutters are up and I made some food in advance and I've got books to read. So it is all good. It's really my West Coast people that my heart is heavy for.
Yeah, definitely. Same here. I'm sending love to the BDEX team. A lot of them are in the Sanibel area, and I know a lot of people are being impacted. So if that's you and you're evacuated or you're just scrolling LinkedIn and watching this, we are sending you love. And really quick, next week, we are having on Kirk Adams and Com Intharath. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Both of them are coming on with really interesting points of views on sales and marketing in different industries. So that'll be a really great episode. But before we go, for Lauren and Liz, could both of you just share with the audience, you know, what it is that you do for people, who you help, and how you could possibly help others, and then how they could reach out to you if they feel like maybe you could help them? Start with you, Liz.
So I am here to basically help enable people, whether that be sellers, partners. I also want to help my own team grow. I want to help the people around me feel empowered, especially women. And I really love to execute on big projects. I like to be able to be proud of something at the end of the day. So those are some of the things that I love to do. And if you want to connect with me, you can find me on LinkedIn.
I love that. And how about you, Lauren?
I help organizations change behavior. I help learning and enablement folks become stronger professionals who can help their organizations change behavior. My favorite thing to do is to help create behavior change machines in organizations, either alongside an enablement function or learning function or as a new function. Behavior change is so important, and it's in getting there. Culture is such a huge part of that. And so that's what I talk about mostly on LinkedIn. And that's where you can get in touch with me. If you want to learn more about how to achieve behavior change, if you want to audit your learning program, any questions about learning and behavior change, I'm happy to help. Find me on LinkedIn.
Well, thank you so much, both of you. And now, before we go, I'm going to do the draw to give away the prizes. So let's do that really quick. I gave you a few more seconds. So there's the high level swag pack. Who's going to get it this week? Is it going to be, well, not me. It's either going to be, I don't think Layla either. I think it's going to be you, Jay. And Jay, yes. The right person got it. Congratulations, Jay. Jay was like in the background of the program. He had a tough sales role, so he was never able to make it with us live. But Jay, you are awesome, and congratulations. You're getting the high level swag pack. So we'll be in touch with you. If you're watching, go to reveting.com/win to give us your information. But for the headset and personal branding, we'll have to go through the comments manually just to make sure, because only one registered on those. So if there were others, I'll have to do a hat drawing. If not, we'll just give the prize to that one person. But for hashtag revenue, we've got 2 entries, and it's either Carrie or Randy. And both are ending in an I. So I'm seeing a lot of I right now, and it's going back and forth. Carrie, congratulations. You are the winner of hashtag revenue. And Carrie's in the program. So both of you got to meet Carrie as well. So this is perfect.
We love Carrie.
Yeah, Carrie's the best. And Carrie, we know you've been busy and you're in like your grinding sales season right now that you've been working toward all year. So we've been thinking about you a lot, Carrie. And everyone else who tuned in, thank you so much for being here. Liz, Lauren, I can't thank you enough. I can't wait to see both of you in person again, whenever that might be. I'll definitely be in Chicago again sometime, but Florida, not so sure about when I'll be there.
Thank you, Jessie. And I just want to tell you personally, aside from all the professional stuff, I am so grateful that we have become friends. So thank you for what you bring to all of us, not just professionally, but as a human.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Liz. I really appreciate that. And same goes for both of you. And until next time, I'm going to close this out with a video. Thank you. Ah.